Welcome to Nostalgic Overload Podcast, a podcast dedicated to anything 90s to 2000s. I am your host, Weston, and my co-host, Andrew. We are going to talk about some awesome topics, but first off, we want to start by saying thank you to everyone who listens or watches our shorts, to our YouTube, to our Spotify, to everywhere we are currently at right now. And we appreciate all this support from everybody. Is Best Buy or Circuit City? Now, Circuit City is not around no more, obviously, but back in the day, which one would you go to? Would you go to Best Buy? Best Buy?
Circuit City?
So, Best Buy always had the feeling of like a place you go to just shop, kind of casual at the time, but now Circuit City is more of a place where I feel like I would go to get hustled. Like they were more about sales, and it was all had that whole like vibe of like Circuit City back in the day. Obviously, you know who like won the battle was Best Buy.
Because Best Buy's still around. Circuit City's not. Circuit City seemed more like an office supply place.
Oh, like Office? I've never even been to like Office. That's funny, but. So, Circuit City passed on the chance to buy Best Buy. In 1988, Circuit City CEO Richard Sharp turned down an offer to buy Best Buy for $30 million. Sharp believed they could beat Best Buy by opening a store in Minneapolis. So, they missed opportunity to buy Best Buy. I do feel like now Best Buy is starting to kind of like revive. For a while it was kind of getting a little dead. But Best Buy was originally called Sound of Music. Best Buy was founded in 1966 by Richard Schulze and James Wheeler as an audio specialty store called Sound of Music. It was rebranded as Best Buy in 1983. So interesting little fact. And Best Buy was an early adopter of plastic gift cards. Best Buy introduced its first plastic gift card in 1995. So when we were kids, obviously.
Yeah.
I remember like Best Buy, like back in the day, one of the other things was the kiosks where you would play all the games and you would be able to actually like visually see like the game you're wanting to buy, or like you could see like the album you were going to go buy, or you know when they used to sell CDs.
Almost like test it before you buy it.
Now like the DVD section is like super small, and there's like because everything's gone so digital, yeah.
Everything's streaming.
And then how many of us would go to the back of the Best Buy also back in the day and click the different CD players and like turn on the speaker, turn on the radios on, and be bumping back there in the back. And have somebody come back there and turn them all off.
Stop it, kids.
Yeah, because everyone did that at one point. And then when they went to like Bluetooth stuff, you would always connect your phone.
To different speakers, and same with like like you had like your boom boxes and stuff, and then you had like a whole wall of car radios. It was like, put every radio on a different channel and really
sure with some people.
Oh yeah. Throw off.
all the older people would wonder what the heck we're doing back there.
What are these whippersnappers doing?
So Circuit City's Horizon format in 2000, Circuit City introduced a new big box format called Horizon. The new format eliminated the red tower entrances and moved the entrance to the center of the store, which I remember that about the store. It had kind of a different feel, like the middle was almost like the hub.
Yeah.
You can like air about Bill Nye the Science Guy. So that intro right there, everyone thinks of the intro to like Bill Nye was a way to like make like science cool, so that way as a kid you could like learn, but you could be entertained at the same time. So right now we're gonna go up to the intro. You hit it again. Scared Bill Nye. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
That guitar lick.
Bill, 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 Bill.
Made by Disney. Dude, still
So
relevant.
crazy. If you look at that like logo for the Bill Nye show, you're like, this screams like 90s. And the Bill Nye show ran from 1993 to 1998. So it didn't run very long, but it was a great show. I remember being in high school and I had a teacher that had recordings of the show that he would play during like the class.
Was
and
it
I,
your science teacher?
I'm trying to think. I think it was like a science class, sort of, but it was just really cool to like see the show still relevant. And then I think Bill Nye even kind of rebranded and came back for a little bit, but it just doesn't have that feel like that, like young Bill Nye, even though Bill Nye is still involved in all sorts of stuff now. I mean, his appearance, the bow tie, the lab coat, like it's always going to be Bill Nye. Bill Nye studied mechanical engineering at Cornell University. He started his career at the Boeing Company in Seattle. Nye is a character or a charter member of the Planetary Society. He enjoys playing ultimate frisbee. Nye has appeared in popular media, science educator, and advocate. So he's a very advocate of like people to learn and to teach things about Earth, and he makes it so much like fun. Like as a kid back in the day, you would learn, and it was like reading a book, and you had the teacher that just read the book, and you would never get to like actually learn.
Wasn't in
So
depth with it.
it is cool to see that he's teaching people in an older way.
I mean, it's the show feels different now because we're not kids anymore. But
Well, I mean, I'm still kind of a kid, but
yeah, I still laugh at farts.
at heart,
Yeah,
at heart, I'm still a kid.
yeah.
I mean, my son laughs at farts, so that's not like it's funny how they're just like farts themselves is an interesting topic.
Dude, kids.
He appeared repeatedly, or he applied repeatedly to be an astronaut. Nye applied 4 times for NASA's astronaut training program, but he was always rejected, which he blamed on his lack of a PhD. Nye has a degree in mechanical engineering from Cornell, or maybe he joked to AOL last year, it could be because I was completely unqualified. So I would say he's obviously qualified to do a lot of things. He's made his mark on Mars, though. Niles was a part of a team that designed the Mars Dial, a tool installed on the Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity rovers that helped calibrate color in photos taken of the planet from inside its thinner, different colored atmosphere. So talking about Mars, by the way, there's pictures that have recently come out of like Mars, like actually seeing the planet itself, and it is crazy to think 2025 we are finally seeing Mars. I remember seeing Mars as just like a planet in school. You would never. And by the way, out there for everybody, Pluto is still part of the solar system. In my mind, Pluto is a planet. We're not, all you people out there are going to fight that, but there's some people out there that do not agree.
Yeah.
Not that it matters because it's so far away.
Yeah.
But
no one on that planet can argue. So
well,
it's a planet. Suck it.
Well, we don't know yet. There could be people out there, way, 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 way out there,
In the distance.
and they're going to come and teach us science. Maybe there's a Bill Nye in that Earth.
They're gonna probe us. Whatever they want to do.
As long as they use lube, so.
They're still playing it. So
It's going to be Goosebumps. So this one is definitely 90s for sure. I remember going to the Scholastic Book Fair in school, and Goosebumps books was always key. And actually, I have a collection in this background of books. I'm collecting the original set. Goosebumps is, I mean, from like the music, dun, 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 dun,
that
like
theme.
that theme is like
You have
so.
that dog bark in it. Woof, 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 woof.
Yeah, and like as a kid, it was like kind of spooky, but like now you're watching, you're like, this is so old.
I can't believe I was
Scared. I was scared.
Don't go in the basement. Man, it was. I think it inspired a lot of people today to be.
Scared.
Like I don't want to say scared, but like it influenced the horror genre for today. Like I grew up watching Goosebumps and Tales from the Crypt And I'm like, where did I get my love of horror stuff? Was that cheesy stuff?
Tales of the Crypt. That's a good topic for one day.
Yeah.
That's a classic show right there. But Goosebumps, I mean, R.L. Stine still writes books to this day. Like, he still creates them. I still love the originals just because it had like that embossed lettering on the book and always had that cool artwork on the outside where there's, I can't remember the guy's name, but the artist that does the like artwork, I mean, he would spend hours on just one cover. And Stein was always scary before hitting it big with horror. He dabbed in comedy, writing for a humor magazine at Ohio State University, published more than 100 books under the pen name Jovel Bob.
Jovel Bob.
But the first horror book he wrote, Blind Date, was a bestseller, which caused him to switch genres. So good thing he switched, because now he's known for horror. Stein found inspiration for his scary stories in his childhood. I was always afraid of a lot of things, which later came in handy, of course, because I could remember that feeling of panic, that feeling of what it feels like to be frightened, to be a frightened kid, the author told today, and I could bring that to my books. So obviously, like Stephen King and a lot of those people, that they write the things that they're like afraid of. So it's crazy to be afraid of something as a kid, and you're just like, I'm just gonna write in a book so other people can be afraid of things.
Yeah.
So like,
scare everyone.
I don't remember being afraid of like Goosebumps books, so but I didn't read anything past like the original ones. So like, what is that, like 100 and something, the first set of books. Stein didn't want to do Goosebumps, but his editors convinced him. Stein's wife Jane is the editor of Goosebumps series, and she and her business partners Joan
Warwick
were the ones who convinced him to do it in the first place. My editors, my wife, and her partners said, no one's ever done a series for a 7 to 12-year-old scary books. We have to try it. And I didn't want to do it, he told today. That's the kind of businessman I am. Then finally I said, okay. Jane and Warwick founded Parachute Publishing, which also published the Goosebumps and Fear Street series for a time. Having your partner as the editor sometimes means that no punches get pulled when it comes to feedback. I got a manuscript back once, and at the top were 2 words. He told the Verge, it said,
psychotic ramblings.
that was it. Psychotic ramblings. She's a very tough editor. She's really smart, and she's just too good an editor. You don't want an editor that good. I don't get away with anything. I always say she's like a hockey goalie. Nothing gets past her. So can you imagine having your spouse as like an editor, and then they're just like, they're your best critic, but then also at the same point you're like, man, they're kind of hard on me. Like, I kind of want to take it easy.
Chill. I'm trying to write books.
I'm trying to write kids' books.
Yeah, I'm trying to get us some money, and you're crapping all over.
Also, the books were really easy to read too. That's another thing. Like, they were very, like, probably as a kid it wasn't as easy as it now, but.
This is interesting. Goosebumps was more challenged than Madonna's book Sex. Back in the 90s heyday, the Goosebumps series landed near the top of American Library Association's challenge books list. At number 15, it was more challenged than Madonna's Sex, the Anarchist Cookbook, which, really?
The next one.
Like, and Private Parts by Howard Stern. It was more challenged than the Anarchist Cookbook. That is, if you know what the Anarchist Cookbook is, that is just...
I don't know what it is. What is it?
It is basically just a how-to book to build bombs and all kinds of stuff.
Like, I thought you were gonna say how to sex or something.
No,
like,
no.
The Private Parts one has a title like it sounds like it could be one.
This is what it was rumored as when we were kids. Like, it just had like blueprints to make pipe bombs and mustard gas.
So
and stuff
Goosebumps
like
was challenged over.
Yeah,
that's crazy. It's just to show you the time.
I want my kid to be a terrorist, not scared.
Which is funny.
Thanks.
Each cover took illustrator Tim, there's his name, Jacobus, 35 hours to produce. He sketched 3 8x10-inch options for each cover before using acrylics and an airbrush on the final version. The work was so steady and fast, he said, that there was no time for much creative back and forth, meaning the publisher generally just accepted what he provided them. Jacobus also received less and less information about the books as Steins cranked them out, sometimes working from just a short plot blurb.
Could you imagine? Hey, I need an illustration for a book about a dad that says, "Stay out of the basement. Give me artwork for that." And you're like,
what if you were like, I don't have a dad?
yeah. Well, I don't have. I've never had a basement. So what is that?
We're in the basement right now.
What's that like?
But
Yeah.
no, I think Goosebumps is definitely one of those things. It's always gonna hit me, like just the show to the books. All like the books. I mean, hands down. That's why I still collect them, because they just have such cool artwork. Limewire. So if you grew up in the early 2000s for this, you use Limewire at some point to either download movies, music, and always attached to it was some kind of virus.
Yeah.
Or you'd click the wrong thing and you'd get nothing what you wanted, and it was just a virus.
Yeah.
So you always had those virus blockers and all that stuff, AVG and malware and all that type of stuff to just block all this stuff from getting from Limewire. And that
you
like
still crashed your parents' computer downloading dirty videos. We know what
I didn't download dirty videos, but I definitely my parents' computer probably got it. I did. So that like logo, when you see the logo for Limewire, you just think like it just has like that click in your brain where you're like, it's just like the whole like how it comes up, like the little screen and how you download stuff. I remember clicking all that, like just going through a list of ones you want to download and picking one, and fingers crossed that it didn't come through with the virus or something.
Crash your family's computer. Erase your family vacation pictures because you were trying to download music.
It sounds like a very specific story. That's like
Not for me.
So Limewire was created by Mark Gordon in 2000. It was most prominently a tool used for the download and distribution of pirated materials, particularly pirated music. In 2000, Limewire was estimated to be installed on over 1/3 of all computers globally. At its peak, Limewire had over 50 million active users. Limewire was shut down in 2010 after a federal court ruled that the site file sharing process contributed to copyright infringement. Some alternatives to Limewire include uTorrent, which I used, FrostWire, and QBitTorrent and Transmission. So uTorrent I definitely use. That's another one. And yes, me and Andrew have downloaded things illegally. Please don't come after us 20 years later or whatever. But
I don't care. Come I used FrostWire.
We're gonna like stop
I
this.
used FrostWire to download ringtones on my phone.
What was I don't remember like FrostWire, but
it was just a torrent site.
a torrent site.
Yeah, you could. We're incriminating ourselves right now. This won't hold up.
It's so crazy because like you remember talking about Limewire. Remember the thing with like Napster where like it was a huge thing.
Lost their mind.
It was a huge thing, and like nowadays it's like no one really thinks about it the same way like they used to, because now music is so streamed all over the place, and movies we remember used to like download them off of like your turns to watch them, and you were like you get that one where that dude is like passing along the seat because the guy recording it is like literally in the movie theater. You're like, this is a crappy version, but I want to definitely still watch it because I really want to watch this movie, even though I could just wait.
You hear someone coughing the whole time down in the front
or clean their throat.
Munching on popcorn. I'm like, dude.
And then you get those ones where you have like the logo of the company across it, because it's literally come from directly from the company that made the movie, and you're like, wow, they really picked this up from some guy that works there.
Or you had people that would go to movie theaters and like illegally film movies, and then they'd watermark it. Why are you putting your watermark on your video of a movie you're pirating? You're proud.
I
Why?
my favorite is people that had like a legit hustle business. Remember back in the day,
Yeah.
they'd print the cover art, they'd have like the
Yeah.
case, and they would like hustle and sell
Yo,
themselves.
I'll give you 3 DVDs for $25.
Or they had like a CD that just came out, like it hasn't even released, and somehow they already had it ahead of time, and you're like, wow, how'd they already get this? It hasn't even released. Like it's not even come out to like the public, which nowadays it comes out so fast you don't even have to even worry about that. But back in the day, it was like,
Saturated.
it's like, yeah, I want to watch that movie. Like, so you get this binder, or you have all these cases from all these movies and music that you got, and like you'd make your own albums where you had like the little, like the CD. Remember, you would buy a whole bunch of them, and then you would write on the CD all the songs that are on it. So it'd be like a mix list. So it was like your own personal, like, this is my mix list. Like I created this, and it'd be like named or like something crazy. Actually,
my brother would make. I think everyone's guilty of making mixed CDs that essentially all have mostly the same songs in a different order on it. And I can tell you now, my brother was notorious for it. And I'm like, why don't we throw a different CD in? And it was a different CD. Basically, the next CD was the previous CD on shuffle. And I'm like, get real, dude.
yeah, it definitely was a time that is not around no more, but it was a great time to just listen to music and to watch movies and to get a virus on your parents' computer. So I'm definitely glad we have moved on to something a little bit hopefully safer. It'd be Elf Bowling. So a computer game that everyone remembers having all the little elves as your pins, and then to Santa like bowls, and he tries to hit the elves. So Elf Bowling is a bowling video game developed by InStorm and released in 1998 for Windows computer. In the game, the player as Santa Claus attempts to knock down elves who are arranged like bowling pins. A later release of the game by Ignition Entertainment was released on the Nintendo handheld consoles, Nintendo DS, and Game Boy Advance, and received overwhelming negative reviews from critics.
Whack.
In Elf Bowling, the elves of Santa's workshop were on a strike due to overwork from the huge demand for Christmas toys, so Santa Claus has decided to whip them into shape by using them as bowling pins. So definitely a cool game, and if you remember it playing on your,
It was fun.
yeah,
It was very fun.
it was a fun little game. So it's
The elves would like moon you and
because
make
that's
sure they like flew you the bird and stuff sometimes. It's great. It's perfect for kids.
which, I mean, it's nothing compared to what my son plays on like Roblox. So but back to the game to us, it was one of those games that you played and you were like, man, this game is pretty awesome. This one kind of swings into that one, but now we're going to go to Newgrounds. If you remember Newgrounds, the game website where you would play games that people had made or created, and it was like those real, like, we're not talking like Black Myth of Wukong or like God of War type of graphics here. We're talking about just computer,
RPG,
just
little,
basic. Kind of like the first GTA where you had the little guy and he's just walking along, but you can actually see him walking. He just moves.
yep, little pixelated dude.
Little
moving
pixel.
around.
You're,
You had a blast.
It is a great game. So Tom Floop started Newgrounds in 1991 as a fan size for the Neo Geo console called Newground. In 2000s, Newground was a key part of entertainment culture, especially for independent video games and internet animation. Newgrounds was a place where many animators and developers gained a following before social media. So this is before like Facebook and like all these other things that have games on them, and your phone that has games on them, and all this other stuff. Like it was everything was at a different time. So
They were mainly on like flash players too.
and then they're honestly pretty fun. You would try them, and then some of them weren't very good, and then some were good. But it was cool to have like options. You know, it's all about having those options.
So many options. You could. I would go to the public library in Poseyville and I could play for hours on.
You went to the library?
Yeah.
That's not even a thing now, hardly.
Not anymore. But that was one of the best ways to get on internet growing up in a small middle of nowhere county town where if you were on the internet at home and got a phone call, it'd kick you off. It never happened at the library. You sit at the library
That's
all
because
day.
nobody's calling.
Yeah, no one called the library.
They just walk. They're just walking there or driving.
But
or riding their bike.
If I didn't like a game, I'd just keep scrolling down the list and play the next one.
Yeah, it was just fun. Like, so like now we have so many options. So now we don't get to have that experience where we get to like try things. We're so overwhelmed with so many different options. So now, but back then it was like, man, there's not a whole lot of options. So let's just try some of these games, like the elf bowling, or those games we had on the last episode, like Roller Tycoon, like all these cool old school computer games that we would just play as kids, and it was so much fun.
You know what was really cool about Newgrounds was when you went to play games, there were like no ads. Like back then, we didn't have pop-up
Talking about ads, man, my
all the time.
YouTube, I get ads all the time.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, I'll get an ad, and then I'll listen to it again, and I'll get another ad, and I'm like, gosh, I just listened to it. I just listened.
Download this cool game for your phone, your iPad, or your whatever, your tablet, and every time you beat one little 30-second level, you gotta watch a 2-minute ad, and it's like wasn't like that back in the day. You just went
along with the ride and
and
whatever game.
Hopefully that song you downloaded didn't crash your family's computer.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to our local game store, Evansville Toys and Games. Definitely a great store. The owners are awesome and their kids. It's a store that if you want to pick up anything retro, new, old, video games, cards, action figures, I mean, they literally have everything. And if they don't have it now, they might have it down the road. And they're super friendly, and I highly recommend that you check them out if you're in the Evansville area.
Absolutely.
We both have experience with them.
Yeah.
And I have bought most of the stuff from there, actually. Yeah. So a majority of the stuff you're seeing in the background is from there.
Yeah.
So
Great
they're
for
an
collecting.
Awesome store for collecting, and we're not like paid to sponsor them. It's just out of our hearts because they're an awesome store and they're locally owned, and in a way they're like our Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Because we don't have Toys R Us here anymore.
Yeah. I get the same feeling walking into Evansville Toys and Games as I did as a kid.
Except for my wallet hurts a little more.
Yeah,
Because I look at prices sometimes the older stuff, and I'm like, oh man, it's a little more expensive than it was.
We're just big kids with money now.
Big kids with money, and sometimes I got too much money to spend.
Yeah, but Evansville Toys and Games, huge shout out to Daniel and his crew. They're very, very family friendly, great people. They've served the community for many years here in Evansville.
Yeah, they've been through a lot.
Yes, a
And
lot of ups and downs, but they are building their business better every day. And again, not a sponsor, but people that enjoy the nostalgic and old school things, even new stuff. You're helping them out. I want to give a shout out to High Score Saloon and High Score Player 2. They keep that kind of retro, nostalgic arcade theme alive in the community. Great people.
That's also something that we don't have anymore is arcades. I remember being in the mall, and it's definitely really cool for Player 2, and I help them any way that I can because they're an awesome place they're on the west side, so they have 2 locations. It's Player 2, and that's an all kids arcade, and you pay
$12
a
person. 40 for 4.
And you can be there all day. You can come back. You can everything. Like
leave and
they
come
have
back.
Pinball. So if you want to play pinball without paying a bunch of money, like you do at High Score sometimes, definitely can get really good at something. I wish the Halloween pinball machine that's currently at High Score would go over to Player 2. I would be playing it a lot. But it is cool to like the experience to like share with your kids. They have old school consoles, new school consoles.
Mm-hmm. Varieties of games.
Stands for Revolution. If you want to have your eardrums blown out by the because it's so loud.
There's a lot of rhythm games, hand rhythm games, older consoles,
and also
pinball,
the owners are all great too. I mean, Clint and Jared, original owners are hands down awesome guys, and a huge shout out to them.
Yes.
They are not paying us to sponsor them, but there are two places, Evansville Toys and Games and High Score and Player 2, that we both support, and you actually
Work there. Yes.
work at one, which is really cool. I mean,
yeah.
can you imagine being a kid and like, I mean, back in the day, you like use coins, and like now you just pay money, and you're like,
Yeah.
I get to be here all day.
Now I'm
I
like,
can play so much Galaga and Pac-Man.
yeah, now I'm 34 and I can do this all day when I feel like it.
And
yeah.
they also just recently too started to buy, sell
Yeah,
video games, and
consoles. Yeah, so if
Um,
you're looking to unload some of your older games and consoles, High Score Player 2, you can check that out.
You can hit Andrew up, or
Yeah.
you can hit up one of the other guys.
Yeah, see what kind of cash you could be sitting on.
I think
'cause-
it's really cool that my son is like, when we get together, number one is Andrew has to be there for him to
Yeah.
go, but he loves to go there, and it's cool to think like 2024 and arcades are still popping again, and it's cool to see these, like High Score is more of a barcade, whereas Player 2 is more of
Adult-oriented.
all, you know, like all ages.
Player
so it's
2 is
really
all
cool
ages,
to
yeah.
just get to be a kid, and if you have kids, you can go there, or if you just want to pay $12 to go be a kid or like as an adult and be a kid, it's way better than Chuck E. Cheese is here
Yeah.
nowadays. So I definitely recommend checking them out. And if you go to High Score, you will need some money because some things cost cash.
You pay for pinball, skee ball, Guitar Hero, claw machines.
And Guitar Hero just had a tournament.
a
thing.
huge turnout for Guitar Hero battle.
Yeah,
And that's
which is crazy. It reminds you of that episode of like South Park
yeah.
where they're like battling, and then like all you hear.
Yeah, but everyone's
It's
like,
a lot of
nothing
fun.
happens in Evansville, but then they show out for a Guitar Hero battle.
Yeah, so
And
if you're
it's-
over the age to be able to like
Go into a
drink
bar,
alcohol, then you can go to
High Score
High
Saloon.
Score, and I highly
Yeah.
recommend it. And they're always expanding, so there's always new games getting exchanged. Medieval Madness is definitely my top pinball game to go there
Still-
for, which
still
Halloween might be
Still
up there.
Halloween-
I haven't played it
Halloween's
yet,
good.
but Medieval Madness is. I use a lot of quarters to play.
Pulp Fiction right now is on
Yeah.
my top. That game's awesome.
And also you have Oz there. Oz
Yeah.
is Who's at the Door. Great
Yeah.
guy. Super cool guy.
Lovely man.
So if you have a chance, check them out.
Check them out. Support local.
Support local.
Any chance you can.
Even on local weekend or just anytime you want to. And just always never stop being a kid at heart.
We're going to talk about an actor that ran the 90s and 2000s and 80s and like all sorts of genres, but
Huge part of
it-
everyone's life.
this is just one actor, okay? So we're going to talk about many more in the future. We're not saying the best or the worst or whatever. We're just
He was the best.
he's pretty awesome. But we're just going to name an actor, and it's going to be Robin Williams himself. So rest in peace to Robin Williams. What a great actor and such a pivotal part of like voice acting to like regular acting to be on TV shows. Robin Williams got his start in comedy at a church after leaving Juilliard. Robin Williams found himself back in his hometown of San Francisco, but he couldn't find work as an actor. Then he saw something for a comedy workshop in a church and decided to give it a shot. So I went to this workshop in the basement of a Lutheran church, and it was stand-up comedy, so you don't get to improvise with others. But I started off doing,
Ostensibly.
that's a big word, ostensibly it was just like improvising but solo, he told NPR. And then I started to realize, I started building an act from there. So this is where he had his like start. He spent some time working as a mime in Central Park as well. In 1974, photographer Daniel Serene captured photos of two mimes in New York's Central Park. As it turned out, one of the mimes was Robin Williams. who was attending Juilliard at the time. What attracted me to Robin Williams and his fellow mime Top Oppenheimer was an unusual amount of intensity, personality, and physical fluidity. Serene said in 1991, Williams revisited the craft by playing mime Jerry in Bobcat. Film Shake of the Clown. In the movie, Williams hilariously leads to a how-to class in mime. So, when I think of Robin Williams, I think of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Of course.
Aladdin, because he played the genie. I mean, I don't think anyone else can do genie. No hate on Will Smith in the live action, but it's not Robin Williams.
Yeah, those were tough shoes to fill, man.
And let's see, he was on the Aladdin show too that they did for a while. It was like an animated series.
What was Mork or
Mort and Mindy.
Morton
and Mindy, which is definitely one of his like earlier stars. A show probably that wouldn't fly in our current era.
No.
Night at the Museum. So we're just naming a few. There's a bunch. There's a whole list of things we could.
He has a huge track list.
What's the one where he's a clown? He helps kids, but he's done roles.
Adams.
Yeah. He also played in, let's see, Hook.
Yeah.
Popeye. He played the live action of Popeye. I mean, he's done so many different roles, and he's worn like so many different like masks of characters. And it's also one of those things that is crazy to think he was so funny, and then how he passed away all of a sudden. But
tragically,
he definitely led a whole generation of actors, and he was such a funny guy, and every time he played a role he got so into it, and you felt like you were like he was playing that character that he was trying to be. And it was just, he's an amazing actor. And in 1992, success of Aladdin, in which Williams voiced Genie, led to more celebrities voicing animated characters, according to a 2011 article in the Atlantic. Less than 20 years ago, voice acting was almost exclusively the realm of voice actors, people specifically trained to provide voices for animated characters. As it turned out, the rise of celebrity voice actors could be traced to a single film, Disney's 1992, the breakout animated hit Aladdin. Since then, big names have attached themselves to animated films, from The Lion King to Toy Story to Shrek. Williams continued to do voice acting in animated films, including Aladdin and The King of Thieves, Happy Feet, and Happy Feet 2, which I forgot that he was in Happy Feet. He comforted Steven Spielberg during the film of Schindler's List, which is another awesome movie. At this year's 25th screening of Schindler's List, held at a film festival, director Steven Spielberg shared that Williams, who played Peter Pan in Spielberg's Hook, would call him and make him laugh. Robin knew what I was going through, and once a week Robin would call me on schedule, and he would do 15 minutes of stand-up on the phone. Spielberg said I would laugh hysterically because I had to release so much. So he applied joy to people to just enjoy themselves and have a great time and to just have fun. And I definitely wish he was around still, because his acting, I mean, obviously he's done so many roles and they're all good, and he's definitely an important part of our childhood, you know, like, obviously. So
he's a very humble man.
Very humble man, and a guy that liked to make people laugh.
Very
just like
hairy man.
Well, has he hairy?
Yeah. Dude's skin was like carpet.
Oh.
Shagbark carpet. Just furry. Also, Jumanji. We didn't mention Jumanji earlier. I have to mention Jumanji because that movie
Is it
was
Jumanji or Jumanji?
Jumanji. How do you guys say it? Tell us in the comments.
Jumanji.
Jumanji.
It's like saying Louisville or
Louisville
Louisville
Yeah,
or Louisville, which doesn't even make sense. Next up is going to be Pokemon cards. So Pokemon cards are a huge part of the 90s, and even to this day, they are getting so popular again. Like, it is crazy the amount of people that are buying Pokemon cards of all ages. Like,
Not
there's
just Pokemon cards, Pokemon games, everything Pokemon.
Pokemon socks,
Yeah.
Pokemon shorts, hat. Everyone has that Ash hat probably out there
Probably.
somewhere.
Probably a bunch of Pokemon.
And they're
sex
playing that
toys or something.
song. If I could be the very best I ever.
It's just nuts.
Yeah, Pokemon is definitely nuts, and the classic artwork is what I like. I see like the new stuff, and I'm like, I just don't understand the art. There's so many different versions of Charizard now. I'm like, how many versions of the artwork are we gonna do? But I'm old school, so I just like the originals that I used to have, and my favorite would be Charizard, definitely Charizard, hands down. I don't know, what would yours be?
Man, I really loved Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur.
And Squirtle. Squirtle was fantastic. Blastoise was so dope.
Yeah, like the big cannons on his back,
Yeah.
and then everyone. I felt like Blastoise and Charizard are the two out of the three of the main, like the bigger ones.
Yeah.
So there's what, Blastoise, Charizard, and Venusaur, right?
Yep.
And Venusaur, he don't have any love as much as the other ones. I feel like
Venusaur was cool.
he just has whips. He's just
yeah.
whipping it.
He had like poison spores too and stuff.
But then Charizard was like flame. Everybody
Yeah.
likes fire.
They're like, whoa, this dude's a dragon. And then they're like, this is a big turtle with big cannons on him. And then, oh, there's a flower that can whip you.
They can just whip it.
Yeah.
So also a fun fact about Pokemon is the most expensive and the valuable Pokemon cards that are out there. So some cards are rare and valuable, such as the Pikachu Illustrator card, which I think Logan Paul the wrestler actually purchased. That's what this is about. Gem Mint 10 Pokemon Illustrator traded for a record-breaking value of approximately $5.275 million. The card was purchased by a YouTuber and entertainment personality, Logan Paul from Marvin Dubsy. So crazy that he would pay that much for a
is $5.25 million.
And when he bought it, you know what he did with it? He wore it as a necklace in wrestling. So like,
That's a lot of money.
what an entrance to be like, I'd keep that bad boy locked up.
Yeah. I'm going to hang it on my neck.
Another one of the expensive cards is the Pikachu Trophy card. Was only available to third place winners of the first Pokemon tournament in 1997. So there's a first place one, a second place one, and a third place one, I think. And it was a tournament cards you can buy, and I don't have the price on here, but they go for quite a bit as well. Obviously, there's other cards that go for a lot, but we're just talking about like a few of them. So
Speaking of that, tournaments, like
Pokemon tournaments.
Some people just thought, oh, it's really popular right now. My kids want these damn cards, whatever. But people actually battled Pokemon with Pokemon cards in tournaments.
Did you ever
It was
battle?
crazy. I did, but I never played my good cards because I didn't want to lose them.
Did you have a
And
binder?
now I don't have them anymore. So I guess
You lost them already.
I guess I'm still a loser.
So
but-
did you have Pokemon binder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or you had all your cards, even though and you would always turn the pages and just look at your cards and be like, man, look at all these cool cards I
Yeah.
got. I think Pokemon. So I remember being in school, and it's one of the things that teachers would take away. And a teacher had a desk drawer full of Pokemon cards that they would take from people in class.
Yeah, I'd be like, don't mix mine up with this, dickheads, because I want my cards back.
He just has an Ivysaur, and I have a Blastoise.
Yeah,
So I'm
I
gonna
have a
make
Blastoise. I don't want his Venusaur.
on my Blastoise.
Yeah, don't dick me on this, dude. Keep mine separate.
Pokemon cards include information such as the Pokemon type, HP stage and attacks, and retreat costs. The Media Factory set was released on October 20th, 1996, and featured the original 102 Pokemon cards that were later released in the iconic Wizards of the Coast English base set in 1999. Of the 102 cards, 16 were holographic. So holos, by the way, back in the day. It's a little different now. There's like different holos. So like back in the day, it was just like commons, and then like the cool holos that you remember, like the Blastoise and stuff like that. And now there's like these like full card artwork, and it like goes all the way across. It's not in just the one box, and there's like rainbows and all sorts of stuff now. I think holos are, it's just, I don't understand the new stuff, but
old school holographics
back in the day,
where it was at.
I would definitely, that's something that'd be cool to have in here actually, would be the original set of Pokemon cards in a frame. That'd be pretty cool. Because,
Good luck.
well, there's what, 102?
Yeah, but
I think some would be a little harder to get than others, but I do have some in here already. Like I have actually a Blastoise and a Charizard and a Venusaur, all parts, all like a small stack.
put it right back here where it looks like.
According to information from TCG Player Infinite, there are currently, right now, talking about new ones, over 200,000 Pokemon cards in existence, meaning that as of 2025, the total Pokemon cards is likely to be well above 200,000.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? It started from 102, and I remember, what was it, the Rocket Powered, or no, not Rocket Power, the Team Rocket set, where it was like the dark versions of Pokemon, and how cool it was to get like the dark version. I think that's when I probably started collecting, was around that time when I stopped getting Pokemon cards. But
The dark cards.
definitely a show that influenced us as kids in the 90s to now. Like, just crazy to think about how far it's come. And
It's held its relevance.
yeah, it's definitely still held up, and we still, I mean, my son gets them now in Happy Meals. Like, it's cool to see kids like still enjoy the show, and like that class. I remember watching the show all the time. That was cool. Like it's such a good show too. It's really chill. It's not like I watch something that's like bloody and like, you know, just a cool animated show from back in the day. And I think Pokemon will be relevant for honestly ever. I don't think it ever will stop. I think whoever made Pokemon and had that idea, good job to you. You're standing up to crime, as they used to say back in the day.
Good job doing your job, because you created something.
Good job doing your job, and I hope you're doing okay.
Yeah. How's all that money feel? Because, my goodness.
Well, right now, people are like buying like original boxes, and they open them, and I'm like, they'll spend like one pack would be like $300 or something crazy number, and you're
they
like,
just sit there and rip through them, and I'm like,
and they're all just commons or something.
yeah,
And there's like no hollow.
I get the lure to it, but I'm like,
Yeah, it's like the excitement. You can actually, now you can like weigh packs though and find the hollow, and
Yeah.
it's not as, it can,
People
some
have
people
hacked
cheat.
it.
Yeah, people have hacked
They
it.
figured out how to get what
Hey,
they want.
we used to get
Do it the real way.
movies and music illegally, so
Yeah.
I just figured out the hustle of that. Like, to figure out the hustle of how to get cards. I do think it's cool that it's around, and it's definitely one that will transcend time for sure. So
It is forever in time.
Tech decks.
Tech decks.
So this one is definitely has to be on the list, because I remember playing with tech decks, and this is the other thing that was in teachers' drawers when I was in school, because they would take my tech decks, and I had a teacher one time that took one of them. I do have it back, and actually I still have it. It's actually back here right behind me. Tech decks was one of the first fingerboard companies and started a fingerboarding fad in the 1990s and early 2000s, and actually still goes now. Tech decks are known for their authenticity, which includes using real wood and miniature trucks with bearings and urethane wheels.
This fact is really cool too.
Tech decks feature graphics from well-known skateboarding companies like Blind, Baker, Santa Cruz, and Toy Machine.
Real life skate brands.
Yeah, definitely.
on
Like,
tech decks.
and tech decks also include obstacles like quarter pipes, fun boxes, and picnic tables. So it's really cool to think like they took the time to like be like, hey, you're gonna fingerboard along the way. You're gonna be doing it on some style.
Better have some cool stuff to do. Let's make ramps.
So,
and
how good were
rails.
you at playing with the tech deck?
I was absolutely terrible, but it was still cool. You know.
At least you're honest. You were like, yeah, I was pretty awesome. I
was good at
ollie
tech-decking
backflip,
about as good as
quadruple.
I was at skateboarding, which was non-existent. I was always too big of a kid.
Hey, but tech deck's like one of those things, like that skateboarding trend where it was like it was cool to be into skateboarding. Like there was a time in the early '90s where it was like from the games to like seeing skateboarders from what's that magazine? Thrasher.
Yeah, Thrasher.
Thrasher. So Thrasher and tech decks, like it was just a skateboarding fad of like cool stuff. I remember they had like little shoes you could put on your finger too. Like, I was like, that's ridiculous.
It was still cool though.
It's still cool, but it's still ridiculous.
And then back then you had really cool stuff. Like they'd send you CCS magazines that had decks and shoes and clothing, all kinds of really cool stuff that we don't have today.
Well, I think now they sell tech decks.
They sell tech decks today, yes.
So Tony Hawk release, or there's something with Hot Wheels now that they do, kind of like tech decks, and they have like I think they have little shoes that come with them, if I'm not mistaken. So it is kind of slowly coming back around, but you know there's so much stuff out there, it's hard to just pinpoint on one anymore. Tech Deck has released special edition fingerboards like the 25th anniversary pack, which I did not know about, but it is cool. It does include like older ones and all the cool old artwork. And I remember you could like there's little toolkits you can put them in, and I have one back here, and you put on like the little stand, a little tool, like little bitty tools. You sit there and like take the little things off,
get your trucks alive,
like so I can go fingerboard all the way around.
Fingerboard at my desk and get in trouble.
Yeah, for grinding on things and hearing little popping noises in the background because you're doing it while class.
Someone's trying to kickflip in the back while you're trying to study, which
Well, there's somebody who's right by you, tapping their pencil and like a little like a little beat thing going on, and there's a guy back there tech decking and a guy passing Pokemon cards. Like this is like the grind.
Pivotal 90s.
And passing out notes.
Oh, handing notes back and forth.
Not texting. Some closing thoughts are we definitely appreciate everyone's support again, obviously.
Thank you
and
so much.
We talked about, let's see, Pokemon cards, tech decks, Limewire, Newgrounds, Elf Bowling, Goosebumps, Robin Williams, the OG, like Relive, and like now with this podcast, obviously we enjoy like getting to learn things, so we learn as we're doing this, so it's cool to like relive while learning extra things, because like anymore you can just information is out there, like I can just learn all kind of stuff. And also another thing is Andrew decided to bring me some donuts because we're recording this episode early. Like, so we went from 8 o'clock to we recorded it in the middle of the day to last one we recorded pretty late. But this is from a place here called Donut Bank. So if you're ever in the Evansville area, this is one of the OG donut places where you can get all your good stuff, like these donuts.
Get your sugar fix.
So if you need to get a sugar high, get that bad boy. Which I'm going to eat later because we have recorded this early. So this is
up close. Yeah, get a good POV shot.
I don't think
I'm drinking my teas.
Some people out there would be into me watching me. I don't know. Some people might be into that. And that's, hey, if you're into that, you go on.
Let us know in the comments.
You go online. You can look that up from someone else.
Yeah. If you're into that, I'll send you a private video.
On my
Maybe.
OnlyFans.
But, thanks for watching. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Comment. See what kind of content you're interested in. What facts. I mean, anyone can look up facts now, I guess. But if you want to hear us talk about it, we will.
But it's cool. And something else we're looking at in the future is doing some live stuff. So we're thinking about doing some live stuff. So be on the lookout for that. We might, who knows, we might play some elf bowling on live. Maybe, or we might play some old video games. You can watch us suck at them, or be good.
We could possibly do an arcade episode.
Oh yeah,
episode at
that could be in the future. You never know.
player too.
quote unquote. It
Yeah.
could be, and
Could be.
definitely would be a cool one.
Guess you'll know if you keep watching.
But this is definitely, we want this to be a time where you get to like sit back and relax. These are gonna try to come out on Monday, so you'll get to start your week out with us, and you can you're watching them shorts, long form, however you want to watch it. It's out there. It's available for you to watch, and until next time,
Peace.
peace.